C'est un peu jaloux. Jaloux. Un peu jaloux. C'est un peu. C'est un peu. Un peu jaloux. C'est un peu. C'est un peu.
Human beings, living so well we can't be seen. It's the heart of G, it's an ancient thing. When the melanated skin tone used to be green. Ancestors, they bless us. Don't stress us, don't mess us up. Way before the time, it's a time to shine. 24,000 years, with the sunset, eternity, 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 eternity. Yeah, kids, stay super fly. Hotter than the firecracker on the 4th of July. Came to the top when the free y'all knew. Lead it right to the planet, make y'all do. I left you in the spaceship, blasting off to the moon. Made it to the things, jump in the booth. I'd rather chant and meditate and stay in tune. The Sabian makes moves, so what can we do? Eternal record, insects, they got to stay. Don't stress, don't mess, we before the time. It's a time to shine. 24,000 years in the sunset, eternity, 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 eternity. Toast tobacco, never dramatical. When they come with the show fly, it's the mouth for the street pharaoh. In the eternal apparel, looking sharper than the sharp apparel. The golden child, with the golden stop. The more kids in the clear shirt amongst the knot. The Sabian, Homo Arabian, Park Syrian, Market Bean Sabian. That's the story of playing. Eternal record, incest, they piss. Don't stress, don't mess, be before the time. It's a time to shine. 24,000 years in the sunset. Eternal, 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 eternal,
Rahubat Muisar. Rahubat Muisar. Okay. We are back. Rahubat Muisar. Alrighty. It's another week. Today is August the 9th. The 9th. It's a interesting day for me. Actually, a special day for me in the sense that it's actually my anniversary of Wu-Sabat of NoopooH, being a student of the master teacher. At 33 years to date. 1989, August the 8th is actually when I became a member, a student. August the 9th. I'm saying August the 8th. August the 9th, 1989 is actually when I became a student of the master teacher, exactly 33 years from today. So it's interesting. But with all that, I greet you guys. I greet everyone. Kabbalah, welcome. Muisar, welcome our YouTube family out there. We appreciate those who take the time to listen to us. We pray that we're doing a good thing. We pray that we helping people comprehend the culture of Wu-Sabat. This is what our dedication is. It's all about. With all that being said, my name is Peti Sinateptu Re'e. For those who do not know me, I've been over 33 years student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Panabat Minanan, also known as Dr. Malakazi K. York, who has been teaching us our ancient culture, we identify as Wu-Sabat, also known as Wunawat, which stands for those who make decisions based on sound right reasonability, based on the principles of Ma'at, based on the wisdom of the Hutri. In essence, our culture is about being in harmony with natural nature. As African people, we always acknowledge our oneness with natural nature itself. Today they call it animism, and so Wu-Sabat is just one of the names that we have. It means those who are from the stars. You know, we're children of the sun, and that's the essence of what the name is all about. We're children of the sun. All African people on the planet have the same celestial origins. All African people on the planet, those who have woolly hair by natural nature, all have the same celestial origins by natural nature. And being of the stars, we say Wu-Sabat or Sabian. And so we're dedicated to educating our people about this culture, how we used to live. And the reason why we say it's so important is due to the fact that our people for the last 6,000 years, especially within the last 500 years, we've gotten away so far from our way of how we used to live, our original cultures. And we just been on a chaotic spiral. And a lot of the sufferings and the chaos that we're dealing with, we argue, is due to the fact that we embrace foreign cultures. That has been to our own bad detriment. And we say that the only way this problem of the lifestyle we're living is going to be corrected is by correcting the culture. And that culture is Wu-Sabat, to get back to how our ancestors used to live when we ruled, when we built those magnificent monuments all over the globe, the pyramids, you know, and on a continent. And so we come from a very high and advanced culture. And so our teachings is explaining that to our people, that we are a great people that comes from greatness, and we can correct the challenges that we're dealing with on the planet by getting away from the cultures that are causing the problems and get with the culture, that is the actual solution. So I'm just one of many student teachers, right? There's many of us who are educating our people about this culture all over the globe. And I always like to make a disclaimer if I make any mistakes or errors, because I know I do. Do not hesitate to correct me, and I'll do my best to be my best, right? So all you can ask for is anyone to do their best to be their best, and this is what I'm striving for. So, with that being said, we like to get started with a prayer, right? Before we get into our discussion, we always do our prayers. Our culture is about our spiritual development, so that's very important. And we do our prayers in our Lahaj, which means language. We do it in Sabaik, and then I translate it in English, right? So for those of you who know, you can follow me in Sabaik, or just follow the English until you learn Sabaik. That's key. All right. Bade Kalal Numasat Wufako, Aman Kasamun Shalal Put, Pasawa Wupatara, Panan Safa Kawun, Pasawa Wupatara, Z Kawuna Nazula Laha Enkum, Manan Sabat Wu-Sabat, Aman Hadean Shafe'un, Aman Salafu Wunataru, Ajula Yenafasukum, Afuk Shana Kawun Kuma, Pasawa Wupatara. This book is the truth and the way. It was sent down for you all from Sabat Wu-Sabat, star constellation, as a guidance and a healing. From your ancestors and overseers, return to your own, accept what is yours, the truth and the way. Annun tawa ankum laha panan shafe'un wu alaj. Annun tawa ankum laha nasuinun. Annun tawa ankum laha ashuk. Ankum at the salafunun. Annun at the kharad ukum. Annun talub nasar kuma. Annun talub nasar kuma. And so nun sayem nataru. And so nun salafunun. Annun at the munwapu. We thank you all for this healing and cure. We thank you all for not forgetting us. We thank you all for Ashuk. You are our ancestors. We are your children. We seek your help. We seek your help. Help us, divine overseers. Help us, our ancestors. We are Musba'u. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amun. Chapter 4. Alrighty then. So, let's see. Every week, we go over our core principles of Wu-Sabat / Wu-Nawak. This is imperative, right? Because we always talk about that all of our lectures are based around the core principles. The core principles is the foundation of our culture. And we have dedicated all of our discussions, the lectures, in explaining these core principles so that we as a family, as a tribe, everyone understands the essence of why we live these core principles, so that we can put these core principles in our day-to-day actions and deeds, right? And this is how we will begin to see results, by living the culture. This is the key. Living the culture. And the way you live the culture is by knowing those principles and adhering to those key core principles. So it is an imperative that we go through this every week as a reminder. All right. So principle number 1 is Ashak. And Ashak stands for divine love. And all the power of love. We did a discussion on that. So for those of you who have not seen it, definitely check it out. For those of you who have seen it, we always say, watch it again. Principle number 2 is resurrection. As Sabians, as African people, our goal is to become goddesses and gods once again by learning to open our third eye, as our ancestors once did. Prior to 6,000 years ago, all of our ancestors' third eyes were open, and they were in tune with their spiritual nature. Now we're not. And so this is a primary objective of ours. Principle number 3 is the wisdom of the Hutri and Ma'at. The Hutri stands for our divine mind. Ma'at stands for order. We did discussions on that. And so it's imperative you guys check that out. Principle number 4 is relationships. As an African people, we always lived of, for, and by each other as a community, as a tribe. And we've gotten away from that and given up our culture for capitalism, which is, unfortunately, we argue is the destruction of our people. It creates individualism. And so if we really want justice and harmony among our people, we must get back to these core principles of how we used to live. Principle number 5 is morphic resonance / matrix. Morphic resonance stands for sounds, tones, colors, vibrations, frequencies. And matrices are the manifestations of those sounds, tones, vibrations, frequencies. Principle number 6 is Leviathan. Leviathan stands for moon culture, aka religion, aka Western culture. And this is what we're at war with, Leviathan. The forces of Leviathan is what we're dealing with. So definitely check those discussions out. We did on that. Principle number 7 is soul / spirit. Our soul is an emotional force. Our spirit is our life force. We did discussions on that, so definitely check that out. Principle number 8 is health. First key to health is a positive mind, right? As African people, we need a lot of sunlight, water. The body is 70% water. Fasting, right? At least once or twice a week we teach. The herbal diet, as Dr. Sabi has taught us. Exercise, rhythmic breathing, meditation, concentration, prayer, and chanting. As we always say, health is not just what we do physically, but things we must do spiritually. Health is not what we do physically only, but we must do things equally spiritually. This is why our people are in such a bad health state, because we are operating on one principle. In order to be complete, you must do, the complete thing. You must address your health in both dynamics, from a physical point of view and a spiritual point of view. And we did a discussion on that, so definitely check that out. Principle number 9 is Pa'ut, which is the name we give to the creative force, which means all. You can't add to all, because where would you get it from? You can't take from all, because where would you put it? And existence is based on what we call the SMAT, which is the cycles of nature. And the creation energy itself is called Achach. We say it translates to ether, but the word itself, as our ancestors call it, is Achach, or some say Ach. Okay. Now, the goals of students of Wu-Sabat, we have 3 primary goals, right? Goal number 1 is to raise the self. Goal number 2 is to fight Leviathan. And goal number 3 is to work to build Sabbatia. And goal number 1, raising the self, you must be born again, as the Christians teach, by learning the culture of Wu-Sabat and to live it, right? Give up the old ways for the new ways. And so doing that, one of your main objectives is to correct your name, right? Correct your name with a Sabian name. That's key. That's very key. Names are tones. Names are tones. You don't want having an adverse tone connected to you in the form of a name. Names are tones, okay? Also, you must correct how you look and dress, right? Start identifying what your African is culture-wise and your dress code. Also, you must learn to speak Sabic. Language is key. Language is key. Speak the language. This is all a process of raising a self, right? You must study our doctrine every day, which builds your sound right reasoning skills. This is why we encourage constant study, the culture, because this is what's going to help you in your day-to-day decisions, how to make better decisions, why you should do something versus why you should not do something. And you must practice and master our daily rituals in order to turn yourself inside out. This is how you're going to open up your third eye, through the meditation work, the prayers, the fasting, the chanting. All of those are the consistent rituals that must and should be performed on a daily basis, right? And you must always be positive. How are you going to accomplish any worthwhile thing without being positive? Now, goal number 2 is our fight against Leviathan. This includes working a free Panabab Yanani, promoting Wu-Sabat, become a student teacher, and fight the 6 strongest weapons of Leviathan, which are ignorance. Leviathan feeds off of that. Fear, Leviathan feeds off of that. Our ego, Leviathan feeds off of that. Anger, Leviathan feeds off of that. Our lust / desires, Leviathan feeds off of that. And lies / deceptions, Leviathan feeds off of that. We feed Leviathan every time we represent these principles. It's what's keeping the adverse forces in power, because we represent these adverse principles in our lives, right? And goal number 3 is to work to build Sabbatia. We work to support each other in business. We help each other reach positive goals. We help to build our culture. We must set up a landing zone for Panatharu in Africa, which means we need land in Africa that would be supported by an African government. Now, and Ashuk is the key to accomplish all our goals. Now, what does it mean to be a Sabaean? A Sabaean is someone who is thoughtful and cares, someone who is helpful and honest, someone who is responsible and hardworking, someone who demands justice and honorable, someone who is righteous and humble, someone who is excited and cheerful, someone who is loving and peaceful, someone who is kind and considerate, and someone who is neat, clean, and orderly. Our purpose as Sabaeans is to fight for our liberation away from adverse forces, right? This is what we should be doing each and every day, figuring out ways to get away from adverse forces. Now, number 1, you must take action each and every day to free yourself of 6 ether spirits inside and out, which also includes Black people who are possessed by these spirit forces. Number 2, acknowledge and fight 6 ether from promoting capitalism, the gay agenda, miscegenation, the so-called equality of the races, and racism, white supremacy. And number 3, learn, live by, and promote the laws/rules of natural nature, and each one teach one. Now, word of advice: do not judge this doctrine by watching the behavior of Pandabab United nor his students. Judge this doctrine by the effectiveness of the information, aka information, that you personally put to practical use. This doctrine is based on self-authentication, guys. This is how you know it's true, by doing the things that we teach and acknowledging the truth for yourself. Know that we're not preachers, but teachers who are dedicated to answering questions until there is a meeting of the minds between teacher and student who then can work in unity, which is the only solution to our problems. Quote, what you do for self and kind depends on what you think of self and kind. What you think of yourself and kind depends on what you know of yourself and kind. And what you know of yourself and kind depends on what you was taught and by whom of yourself and kind. Quote, until a lion have their historians, the hunter will always be the hero. Quote, the negative mind talks of what it can't and will not do for self and kind, always complaining about who they do not like or trust, whereas the positive mind always maintains the peace by not complaining about that in which they do not like, but focus on finding solutions to their problems, never allowing obstacles to get in the way of growth. Okay. With that being said, today's discussion is the way to salvation, guys. What is the way to salvation? Well, the answer is the master teacher put out a particular book dedicated to that subject matter. Okay. So this was a particular scroll that came out, I would think last year. This is actually came out. And let's see. So this is the Sabbath. So you have Pa, this Mij, Saw, Pa, Mij, Saw, Le, Layeh, Tachlus. Pa, Mij, Saw, Layeh, Tachlus. And that translates the bridge to salvation. The bridge to salvation. So you have Pa, Mitzah, Layeh, Taklus, the bridge to salvation. And so this is a book dedicated to explaining the process towards salvation. Okay. So you see it right here. Pa, Mitzah, Layeh, Taklus, the bridge to salvation. And then we have Anun, Safura, Tawel, Mashe bi lawek un sabal. We took a long walk on a short path. This is a saying the master teacher used to say to us all the time, that, we had to take a long walk on a short path. What is the long walk? He said the amount of information that he had to teach us in a matter of 30 to 60 years. That is a long walk on a very short path, because our goal is to overcome all of the adversities that we've been through genetically for 6,000 years. And he has to do that in a matter of 30 to 60 years for our transformation. He started in the year 2000. He started in the year 1970. And that 60-year timeline would be ending in another 8 years from now. So that's that long walk on a short path. The short path is the 60 years, and it's for some people, obviously that's a lifetime, right? 60 years. But when you're trying to give us a crash course on 6,000 years of history, in essence, in his case, 76 trillion years of knowledge, the master teacher said there's so much information that he would have to teach us. We just don't have the time. And he's done his best to condense the amount of information he has been teaching us that would be the most effective for us, for the purpose of what? Our salvation. And let me say this. One of the things we do make clear, in order to have salvation, you have to have liberation. In order to have salvation, you must have liberation. In order to have salvation, you must have liberation, meaning you must be liberated first from adverse forces. Then the salvation will be there. Then you'll be saved. Right? So once you're liberated from adversity, adverse conditions, then comes the salvation. As long as you can maintain liberation, then it's easy to obtain salvation. This is a core essence of our principles. Here's another saying. Antkum chasul chatatkum lake naduf zi shelel wasach anduf laneh akalkum shelel wasach. And I translate, you wash your body to clean of filth. Clean also your mind of filth. This is the key to salvation, by cleaning the mind of filth. All of the adverse things we've learned by being subject to adverse cultures for the last 6,000 years. We have to clean our mind of all of those things. Pa mijsa leyeh tachlus, the bridge to salvation. Anya mumrah mukhrad u shalal Wu-Sabat. Ankum at the pa mijsa leyeh pa mukhrad u shalal pa tachlus. That translates, my beloved children of Wu-Sabat, you are the bridge to the bridge towards the children of salvation. I, Pa Munbab Yanun, have incarnated with Pa Shafei, the cure, to the people's ignorance with Wu-Sabat. And you, the children of Wu-Sabat, as Musba'u, Sabians, are Pa Mudmal'u, the doctors, Pa Mublach'u, the messengers, Pa Mukhlas'u, the saviors. This is what the obligation of us students of Wu-Sabat who are out here teaching to the people. I read that again. I, Pa Munbab Yanun, have incarnated with Pa Shafei, the cure to the people's ignorance with Wu-Sabat. And you, here's the key, and you, the children of Wu-Sabat, as Musba'u or Sabians, are the Mudmal'u, the doctors. We're the doctors curing our people of the disease of the mind. Pa Mublach'u, we're the messengers bringing this message to our people. Pa Mukhlas'u, we're the saviors because we're coming with salvation information for our people. Take this shafui or take this shafe, which is cure, and break the spell of Kingo or Leviathan. You in the 1600s living in the West were called the Wabi Aki. That's an interesting word. I thought it was Wabunaki, but okay. Wabi Aki. Native Americans, which became many sub-tribes such as the Yamasi, which means gentle, from the old ones, which means from the stars. The Anasazi, which means I am antique. Musba'u, or Sabians. Napatan, or Nawapians, the African black people, originals of Pa Musnanu, the Sands people of South Africa, who spread the world over, guys. We originated from the Sands tribe who spread the world over, okay? And we're their descendants. It says, yet those that remain in the motherland, Africa today, were taken into other Rasayat lands, first by the Muarabu, Arabs of Arabia, next the Muirabu, Europeans of Meorapia, which is Europe, and to Amaria, which is America, to be in bondage for 400 years. Yet that time has ended, and so much in the Akadat, the beliefs, and the Akuk faith they were programmed to believe. Right? We have to give up the belief systems that we've been conditioned into. The religious mind, spellbinding of the slave masters of both the Mu'maru, the reds, and the Mulbanu, the whites. Musfaru, yellows or Edomites, or Muarabu, the Arabs, and the Muadamu, the Adamites, the Kakasnadu, Caucasoids, right? We have to give up the cultures that we was introduced by all of these foreigners. The tribes Wabanaki, Wamp Panui, and Munwapu, Yamasi, Anasazi, Musba'u, or Sabians, were all the same, originating from Napata in Africa, from Ghana or Iwi tribe or Akan clan, and Liberia, the Bassa tribe, as well as others found today in what is called Africa, and the Dangalawe tribe of Mustan or the Sudan. Yet now unite all these into one people as Musba'u of Wu-Sabat and save the children. The bridge to your salvation, guys. We are obligated to save our children. And the way we save our children is by preventing them from being miseducated. We must take responsibility, guys, for educating our children, because there is no way we're going to solve this problem as long as each generation is being miseducated by foreigners. How else can we conquer the problem? Because once they become adults, they develop this foreign way of thinking, and it's very difficult, to help, those types of minds. I am a triune and one, united in Trinity, indivisible as an incarnated deity. I am Yanun or Yananan or Yanun or Nengis Zida or Melchizedek. I am Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi al-Khida. I am Malachi Z. Corbina York Ukran or Dr. York. I was known as the Hutri or Tahuti or Thought. I was known as Aman Nabab Re'eh or Achak Patah. Aman Nubi Re'ach Patah or Fa or Aman Nubi Ru'ach Fa. I exist from eternity to infinity. I am with you always. This is your salvation. Pa Toruk, the way. Pa Sawab, the truth. Wu-Sabat, Pa Taklus, the salvation. I, Pa Mumbab Yanun, am the salvager of my people, and all others who are willing to accept these actual facts of Wu-Sabat. Panen Kawun Pa Patut Shalil Pa Toruk Le Yeh Takhlus Le Musba'u. This is the opening of the way towards salvation for Sabaeans, right? These actual facts we're talking about here, guys. Musba'u, Sabaeans, know this. Wu-Sabat is authentic way towards salvation, which is inspired. So declare it to whomever, wherever, and do not fear anyone who may retaliate against this doctrine. Wu-Sabat, this proclamation of the truth. It is a victorious guidance, which shall bring to naught the fictions, legends, tales, myth, Wu-Sabat, which is lies and cover-ups of Adamites, the Ta'at religions of 6,000 years, and their abuse and injustice with the Hakak al-Hakak, which is actual facts of Wu-Sabat, the straight way for those who accept and repent and return to who they are, not what they have became. Moreover, Wu-Sabat and Musba'u, which is Sabaeans, will completely demolish the weak structures of blind faith and fake Akadat beliefs. With the Saheh Rakhuk, Saheh Hakumdum, Saheh Fahum, which stands for the correct right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding, which raises you to Saheh Fahum, right overstanding, which becomes Jamad Sahad Nakush, which is sound right reasoning. The righteous powers of truthfulness erecting in its place a mighty people of Afaf Re'e Ka'ah, which is Africa, and world over for all who seek a place of bliss, Misbatia. Additionally, Wu-Sabat will remove from the ibab, the heart, the spiritual heart, right? And the bitter taste of animosity. And through refreshing ashuk, divine love, provided a new being, new start, thus purifying you from inside out and outside in, affecting your epigenetics. Achech chatat, your etheric body, from the invasion of every trace of enmity. This, guys, this is why we say this is a genetic doctrine, family. It's what the truth corrects your genes, because it corrects how you think, which corrects how you behave, and that's how your genes get reset. Furthermore, Wu-Sabat will wash away the impurity of adultery for those living in the Shabbat, the image of Muadamu, the Adamites have accepted as a normal way of life. They must be awakened to who they are and their own way of living of purity, cleaning every unclean, unsafe, unhealthy thing they become over the past 400 years in bondage in the West under the cursed seed of the Mukanu, the Canaanites, the Mubrasu, the leopards, who only seek your demand, blood, your ba'ah, soul, for you to worship their wicked, evil image, the Muban Salal, the white ways. Once and for all, this way, Wu-Sabat will unmask the real face of falsehoods of Abraham's Ta'at religions with the penetrating sound of reasoning of confirmation, exposing the Wu-Sabat lies, deceptions, the treachery of all the imposters. Don't believe me? Check it out. The gates above are being flung open to expose that their so-called Daga'u, which is their deities of the Bible and the Quran, are Mukhraj'u, aliens, Muzyad Hayin Matha, extraterrestrials who made the Adamite race of fair-skinned people on the month of Tammuz, the day being the 6th, and the year was 3761 BCE. This is their origins, guys. This is what they always talk about. The Jews and all of the religious people say they came to the planet 6,000 years ago. This is the white race, the Laban Salal, birthday, the Sajal, the record. And from then, the report of them is only shawash, chaos. The Adamites' world is no more than violence, lust, challenge, chance, harab at wars, games, competitions, drugs, drunkenness, maraz, disease, hate, rape, phobias, and false promises. dakut, faith, akadat, beliefs, hopes, desires, and greed. These are the foundations of their ka'at, their spirit, and outer khata'at, bodies, as mu'abad'u, slaves, to khabah, nahas, mukhraj'u, wicked, evil aliens, who made them like themselves. If you refer to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, it talks about it, guys. It says, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So they look like they overlords, the Pleiadians, and they act like they overlords, the Pleiadians, and let them have dominion, right? They gave the Mukasu dominion over the fish, over the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over all every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man, God, ghost. God is ghost, the ghost God, who they worship. So God, the gods, right? Those Pleiadians, so created man in their own image. And the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. This is their origins that they don't want to tell people about. It's in their Bible. We didn't come up with this Bible. Remember, the Romans were the ones who pushed this Bible. The Germans were the ones who pushed this Bible. Africans didn't push this Bible. They pushed that information on us. The Irish pushed the Quran on us. We didn't push this stuff on the world. We had our own ways. We have our own spiritual systems. Guys, we got to get away from these foreign cultures. That has nothing to do with us. And I know we as a good elder, Dr. John Henry Clark, like to say that we out Pope the Pope and we out Muhammad the Muhammad. When we take on a culture, we practice it better than the people who came up with it. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7 says, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. This is what they overlords brought life into them. The Laban Muslal, the white race, once other races, the African, the Aborigine, the Indians, and Asians only, to Haruf, fear, and Chasus, respect them. I, Pa Mumbab Yanun, want you to respect, as in note, he is led by Mudharat, specters, and you need to take a second look at that Muslal race and stop speculating that they are good or even all Hamanadu, humanoid. So I say, inspect them, all they say and all they do, and you will see. According to Genesis chapter 6, verse 5, it says, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Because of them mixing with you, when Abraham, the Chaldean of Mesopotamia, raped Hagar, the Egyptian of Africa, refer to Genesis chapter 16, verse 1 through 15. It was their Gadadu, gods, who put the enmity in them. If you refer to Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, and they in you. By mixing their genes, this is what's messed our people up. We've been crazy ever since. We don't know who and what we are anymore. Because we lost our minds, because we lost our identities. He put the whole, let's say they put Genesis 16, I'm not going to read this one, verse 1 to 15, and it talks about Hagar, who's an African woman who made it with Abraham. She had a child by Abraham, and who was named Ishmael. So Ishmael was half of the Hindus. Actually, Abraham was a Hindu, and Hagar was an African. In Arab, what people don't know, Arab, when you research it, people may think it means to travel or move around, but it also means to mingle or mix blood, mix seed. So go on to say, so Nagadnadu, those of you who have this unnatural nature of them, right? Because we act like them today, you have enmity within you, set yet still claim to be a Musba'u, Sabians, right? Those of us who claim the culture Wu-Sabat, but we still act like the Adamites. And it's obviously this is because of all of the mixing in we've been doing for the last 6,000 years, especially the mixing in that's been put on us for the last 400 years, all the rapes that they done to our mothers. So unfortunately, we're like them today. Read and understand. Ashuk is your priority as natural natures, Mukwanu beings. Therefore, if you can overcome the Hajj, the spell of Kingle, Leviathan, stop respecting their uniforms, both Akkad ad mental as poisons and Khatat al physical as force. Stop being their pets, their slaves, their attack dogs, their servants, their tools, their protectors of what they have taken from you as Native Americans or African Mubad'u, slaves. Stop being their Negro or nigger. If you learn to Natuk, speak Musbatia, Sabaic, Lahajnun, our language, and speak it to Pa, the world, with literary articulation and brilliance, yet if you do not consider Ashuk, divine love, your speech is for naught. If you would have been better, it would have been better and preferable that you kept silent, did not speak Misbatia of Wu-Sabat as a Musba'u without Ashuk. Even if you are gifted, endowed with skills, talents, wisdom, peering through your Nasabat genes from the supernatural and perform these gifts, yet without Ashuk, you will still lack integrity. Neither is any Kahenus, divineness residing in you. You must regrow it inside outward. For in Hakek reality, you are hypocrites without Ashuk. Even when you distribute the doctrine and or Lakun teach it and look as if you do good deeds and sacrifice for others, yet without Ashuk, it would be as if you had neither contribute anything nor made yourself in service to Wu-Sabat. Ashuk is patience with others, being tender towards the impoverished, caring, nesermul, helpful, and kind. Ashuk does not embrace jealousy, hate, pride, ego, demonstrate or practice aggression, slander, or gossip. Those Musba'u of Ashuk treat everyone kindly, does not get upset quickly or seek personal desires frequently. Ashuk does not reveal over oppression, yet over freedom and ma'ut, justice. Ashuk accepts whatever a Musba'u says is true and a fact, yet turns away from the hypocrites. Wu-Sabat for Ashuk, eternal across the eons of time. Even when the Khatat al Tapal, the physical world, shall cease and voices become silent, Ashuk, a Wu-Sabat, will still exist triumphantly. Guys, this is why I go over the core principles, right? We go over these things in our core principles every week. What it means to be a Sabian. That's all he's breaking it down for us. What it means to be a Sabian. And I remind you guys every week when I do the core principles. If and when the true Musba'u, Sabians, from among us declare that they have Ashuk and are our Muisar or offspring and tribal ones, they are neither hypocrites nor have they misled themselves. For our Muisar, which is family, of Wu-Sabat, have divine love, are truly our prodigy, and we cherish our Hazab, culture, for Tarism, which is animism, as Musba'u, Sabians, Pa Mukhlasu, saviors. All know this as of 1962 to 1963 to 1970, when the seal of Daniel was opened by Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, which is myself, the Pandabab, the master, today known as Malachi Z. Kobina York Ukran, with Wu-Sabat, it has come Pa-Tara, the way. Pa-Hakak al-Hakak-At are now revealed. It is driving away deceit and the Chazabat, lies of the Bible and the Quran, taught for the past 4,000 years by Mordamu, Anamites, Edomites, white and red races of Kakas Nadu and Arab Nadu. Yet from 1970, you, Musba'u, Sabians, have the rightly guided pathway to guide all who have been led astray. The great judgment day of the Mordamu is no longer approaching. It is beyond them since the year 2000. The end of their Wakut time is the beginning of yours, and surely their deceit will be and is retracing or retracting. None can ever escape their judgment hour. Their judgment, which is 1/2 hour from 1970 to the year 2000 and from 2000 to the year 2030. As you see, the 30 minutes equals their 30 years, totaling their final hour. Guys, this is, for those who do not know, this is quoting from the book of Revelations, that they have 1 hour. They have the first half hour, which is 30 minutes, which represents 30 years. And then they have a second half hour, which is another 30 minutes, which is, equals 60 years. So it goes from the year 1970, when the master teacher opened the seventh seal, till the year 2030. And you see from the year 2000, all Muadamu, Adamites, Mukanu, Canaanites or Edomites, the Kakas Nadu, the Caucasoids, and Arab Nadu, the Araboids, are in utter disarray. Khatul, killing each other. Pa-Sawab is for those who seek it of the entire Hamad Nadu, humanoids. Those who wish to know the Hakak facts find the bridge towards their Takhlus, salvation. Those who wish not to know Pa-Hakak facts blindly fall from the bridge by being led by the blind Takak, faith. Yet even the hardened, most stubborn of our own, when they read Wu-Sabat, will then Thahum overstand and accept it as revealed from them as theirs. As for those who obscure Wu-Sabat by covering their eyes, so that they may not discern the faith from the Kut, faith, or that which will come to pass from that which they Amul, hope, will happen. No Dakuk, faith, can overpower Qadar, fate, destiny, no matter how loud they preach or have faith. They only demonstrate their erroneous Jahalan, ignorance. And as for those of our own race and people of color who are plugging their Yazan at ears with their Nashal Yadad at fingers, not to hear the truth about their unnatural nature, muhash, human beings, with such might, they have absolutely condemned themselves out of the sight and are undoubtedly lost from the purity of their own Takhlus, salvation in Wu-Sabat. Guys, our people, so many of our people, they just ignore the facts. They don't want to deal with the reality of who we're dealing with in the Mukasu and their way of life. It's poison. It's just plain old poison. And we're going to continue to suffer until we give up their ways. As for those of our people who departed or gone astray from Wu-Sabat, it is now disclosed to explain our way concerning the difference between the old schools to the final, from the Nubian Islamic Hebrews to Ansar Allah community to Wu-Sabat, that which I came to give from that which you wanted me to give you of Abrahamism. There was no compulsion in those Data'at religions of Abrahamism. Yet in Wu-Sabat, you must know this Sawab truth to free yourself. I say, therefore, why don't you pick back up the books of Wu-Sabat and read? You will feel the genetic explosions take place from inside of you. I have beamed and shouted this truth as Jameh Sahanakush, sound right reasoning, into the hearts of each who will listen and read. You as Afaf Re'e Ka'au Africans this time have been singled out to save Pa Tapao, the world. Each race had their own savior. Now it is Africans' time for your Mukhlas, savior, and Munzar, warner. I am that Mushkas person. I have put this proclamation in writing for all to read. So read and know your assignment as Mukhlasu, saviors, while Pa Natharu, the overseers, are carefully observing who is who and who has become a what. I have recited the Hakak al-Hakak actual facts, confirmations, the truth in your hearing and before your discerning eyes, even echoing in your Ibab at heart. Then after 2000, I placed Wu-Sabat in your hands, this most powerful message, so that it may cleanse you from ignorance of Abrahanism, Mosesism, Jesusism, and Mohammedism, a bondage by blind Takutat, faith, and Akadat, beliefs, not facts. I am here to usher in the next 24,000 years, our story, the hereafter. The year 2000 was our new beginning of the next 24,000 years. Pre-chance all of you will wake up from the Hajj Shalel Nawam, the spell of sleep, the long abysmal time of righteous Jahal and ignorance, and recognize who you are as Mumlan'u, Mukrad'u, Melanite children of Shamash, the sun. All of you who look on yet refuse to accept Wu-Sabat, I have received it and presented it to you in the Misbatia Lahaj, the Sabaic language, a marvelous event for this day and time, clearly unique. None before me did or could Lakun teach all this in one physical lifetime. It is given to you through me. Many will claim it's only Arabic, or Hebrew, right? Or Abaria, Hebrew, or Arabia, Arabic. This is what people claim Wu-Sabat is, or Sabaic. They are very wrong, for both Hebrew and Arabic come out of ancient Maghreb, Egypt, as did all true Rakuk, knowledge, and Hakundum, wisdom, the world over. And the Mukba'u, Egyptians, were pure black. Napi here, Afafra'e Ka'u, Africans. For Abraham, the Mu'aba'u, the Hebrew, and Hagar, the Mukhma'u, the Egyptian, birthed Ishmael, the very first Mu'arabu, the Arab. A Madat word that only means mix, seed, mingle genes, those of Abraham and Hagar, and as they spoke. So also their son spoke a mixture of Chaldean and Egyptian, which became Sabaic. Yet as Hagar made sure her Sawah, son, by Abraham, the Chaldean married an Egyptian Negroid like herself. It referred to Genesis chapter 21, verse 21. The children being the children of Ishmael. The first one to be of this mixture were called Arab in Hebrew and Arab in Arabic, which means mixed one, refer to Hebrew strong, number 6151. If you refer to Genesis chapter 21, verse 21, it reads, and he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. This is Ishmael. And his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. Right? So this is talking about Ishmael marrying an Egyptian woman and an African woman. And keep in mind, Ishmael was half African himself, but from his mother. So he was half African. His wife was pure African. And guess what? He had African children. But this is what Arabs, they're not going to admit that, the origin of the so-called Arabs. Their descendants are living in the Sudan today as the Dangalawe tribe. They're there. The Hendendawa tribe. They're there. These are black people. Let's keep going. So here's Mugradu, children were called Arabs, mixed race. And like Abraham, who spoke Chaldean, he was later called a Hebrew. He who crossed over. That's what Hebrew means, right? To cross over. We refer to Genesis chapter 14, verse 13. So foreigners said he was speaking Hebrew or Milsan tongue. The name of the scroll, Joseph Hobbs, is called The Bridge to Salvation. The name of the scroll is called The Bridge to Salvation. This book came out last year, just for those who do not know. This book came out last year for those who do not know. We're on paragraph 104. So also, as Ishmael, who spoke Chaldean and Egyptian or Napatan or Sabaean, who was later called an Arab, said he was speaking an Arabic Milsan tongue. So in fact, Hebrew and Arabic are Napatan, and it is found in Genesis chapter 10, verse 13 as Naftuhim, or Munwapu, or Nuwapian, or Musba'u, or Sabian, as the letter P and B are interchangeable, and Napata and Saba are capital cities in different times in Magmat, Egypt. Refer to Genesis chapter 10, verse 13. It reads, and Mitzrayim begat Ludim, and Anamim, and Lahabin, and Naftuhim. That's the key word there, Naftuhim, guys. And just said Misra means Egypt, the Egyptians, Mitzrayim, Egyptians. And these are the sons of Mitzrayim. And one of them is Naftuhim, and this is the origin of Napata. Definition of Naftuhim, it says a Hamitic tribe, a descendant from Mitzrayim. Refer to Genesis chapter 10, verse 13. Others identify this word with Napata, the name of the city and territory on the southern frontier of Mitzrayim, the modern day Meroe, at the Great Bend of the Nile in the Sudan. This city was the royal residence, it is said, of Queen Candace. Refer to Book of Acts, chapter 8, verse 27. Here, there are extensive and splendid ruins. Refer to Easton's Bible Dictionary. We got this from Easton's Bible Dictionary. Give you the meaning of Naftuhim. Those are the Napatans. They're of the tribe of Mitzrayim. These are black African people. So those who make that false claim that I made up Misbatia or Sabaean from Arabic are only fooling themselves because they do not know, they do not investigate or research the roots of Lahaj languages the world over. The Queen of Sheba, Makeda, spoke Sabaean in Marab or Arabia before the birth of the Arab's prophet Ahmed bin Abdullah, born August the 20th, 570 AD, and died June the 8th, 632 AD. A red Arab who made it clear he was from the bloodline of Ishmael's second son, Kedar. Refer to Genesis chapter 25, verse 12 through 16. So, in fact, Arabic is from the first Arab who was the son of Abraham and Hagar, Ishmael, a mixed seed. And Sabaean or Napatan or Nawapic predate both Arabic and Hebrew. And Abraham visited Magmat, Egypt, and spoke Egyptian or Nawapic or Sabaean. Refer to Genesis chapter 20, verse 1 through 11. Guys, and just so you know, they found Egyptian tombs. I wish I had the video. I would have showed it to you guys. They found Egyptian tombs it was located in Israel. And in the tombs, I think this was during the reign of Hatshepsut. During the reign of Hatshepsut. So that reign had to been around, 1700 BCE, right? 3,800 years ago. And in the tomb of her tomb, which it's either Israel or Lebanon, and they found in there Egyptian writings along with Hebraic writings by Egyptians. They saw Egyptians writing in Hebrew. It's a fact. This language come out of Maghreb. First, there's no such thing as Hebrew, by the way. Okay, that name came. That was the name put on Abraham, and he was a Chaldean. So this was Chaldean language that came out of ancient Samaria, and original Sumerians were Parthites who came from Africa. Those are the real facts. Let's keep going. This is I'm not going to read this. This is Genesis chapter 20, verse 1 through 11. It just talks about an incident with Abraham and his sister. You guys can refer to that if you want. You know, his wife was taken, Sarah was taken, and it was a whole incident. But anyway. Says, lay that deception to rest. Misbatia or Sebeg is the new Arabic for my people, and you will hear Hebrew and Arabic words, being they grew out of Misbatia or Sebeg. Don't confuse Nubic with Sebeg, a dialect created by the Ansarullah children in Brooklyn, New York. That was Nubic. So, Wu-Sabat has been inspired from the ancient ones in the Egyptian Misbatia, Sebeg tongue, clearly by its script. Marvelous to distinguish triviality from Sawab, the truth. Misbatia or Sebeg by Naham tone will raise your vibrations concerning the transformation as you namuz, pray or implore, or anum, chant, and natuk, speak, practicing until you master it, guys. The language, remember I went over this last week, how the language raises your vibration of your body because we're enunciating tones we don't say in English. English is a dead language. It doesn't raise the vibrations of the body. When we speak Sabaic, it does that because we're enunciating tones we do not enunciate in English. I can't stress that enough. Some have counterfeited our Milsan tongue and fabricated deceitfully to make money or impress. This will be exposed over time as I have by steps changed it and have revealed the message of Wu-Sabat, which is the real Milsan tongue of your Muslafu ancestors. Some have brazenly misled the unknowing who ended up losing their way. Yet despair awaits every vile Hashash or deceiver. As for these ones, those who exchange hakakat, facts, for triviality and misled our followers to the edge of Mijsar bridge to fall away or renounce Pa Nabab Yanun, myself from them and believe in falsehood. They are the enemies of genuine Musba'u Sabians, as well as enemies to our Muslao race as African people the world over. They will proclaim the world over they have Pa Sawab, the truth, in religion and prescribe that others follow the detached religions of Abraham, not African Hazabat cultures, Lahajat languages, Milbas dress, and Ka'at spirits. They call on in prayer. This is wrong. They only seek falsely, for they practice Takshush, deception frequently. These arrogant and stubborn will fail, inevitably coming to realize they pray and call out to Nut Shaye, nothing, or no one, only Renam at names, made up by foreigners to draw them into their dakutat, faith, and akadat, beliefs and illusions. Honestly, how an unseen God, unheard God, how do you prove exists? Where is he? These are illusions taught as legends. Whenever it is argued upon these, whenever it is urged upon these infidels to accept their own cultural way of life as Africans, which is now revealed, just as many Musba'u Sabians the world over have done, they proclaim, are we to accept what this man says? This is what people say. I heard it on Clubhouse today. We're going to accept what this man has to say. This is what these people are saying. They're ignorant because they don't research. They don't study. Because you got the Eritreans from East Africa arguing that we're still in their culture, Sabaean culture or something. First of all, these people are either Arab, Muslims or Christians, and they talk about we're still in their culture when they took the culture from the Arabs or the Europeans. And I'm like, that's a joke. It's an actual fact that Sabaeans were pure African people. The brothers and sisters in Eritrea are mixed, no different than us here in America. We're mixed. But all Africans, as I said in the beginning, we all have the same celestial origin. As I repeat, we all Africans have the same celestial origins. All of us come from the Sans tribe by birth and blood. Or the Patais, the Twa, by birth and blood. They're the first ones on the planet. Everyone comes from them. As Africans, they're the original Sabaeans, those who come from the stars, the suns. And we come from them. And we move throughout the whole planet. Our doctrine deals with origins. We're going back millions of years ago, if not billions. Yet they are inferior infidels who cannot show and dabut prove what they claim and believe is their spook unseen gadad, by whichever Milsan tongue they call out to Na'ut Shade, nothingness. These are people that believe in it, as the Nation of Islam said, the spook God, the mystery God. They got our people still worshiping. So Musba'u, Sabaeans, they are not the inferior infidels themselves. We have tabutat, confirmations, being made each day to what I have been revealing to you since 1970. Yet their takshua condition is concealed from them. Mumlanu, Melanites, Nugadna'u, Negroids, the world over, you are spiritually under a mental death, a spell of religious jahalan, ignorance, and I, Panabab Yanun, raise you from the mental death in the second resurrection through Wu-Sabat. Yet those who choose to remain blinded by the white light of Shawash, chaos, those who will not cross this Mijsar Lahed Taklus, bridge to salvation, remain dead spiritually as believers in foreign akadat beliefs, letting foreigners tell them what to baru, eat, how to dress, to what to devote their hayuat lives, what direction to pray, what to pray to, who to hate, fight, and katul, kill, even self. They are called believers because they are not allowed to be called knowers. Muslims love saying that, guys. They love always saying, I'm a believer. Like that's some badge of honor that you're a believer. You'd rather not be someone who deals with the facts, not beliefs. Christians say the same silliness. We walk by faith, not by sight. I'm like, what? You walk by faith, not by sight, so you rather walk blind. You don't want to see? Seeing is knowing where you're going. And they wonder why they're suffering. This is why we're suffering, because we've taken on these ridiculous belief systems. And where have we gotten? we don't own and control anything, rule anything. When we rule because we had our culture, our systems, our spiritual systems, not these made up belief systems. I repeat, they are called believers because they do not allow to be called knowers. They believe whatever foreigners tell them to read, such as the Bible and the Quran. Yet they are not allowed to ask tadrush questions, to read informative information, or they are rejected as doubters. They, like pets, are trained to perform for their mumbabu masters. Now that I bring and have brought over the Shemut years from 1962 to 1970 to the year 2000, Takhlus, salvation to the ones who use their own akadat minds and will, by way of this confirmation, hakak al hakak at, actual facts, patarat, the way, be saved from this race of human devils. As for those of you who will not accept Wu-Sabat, will become and remain spiritually and mentally dead under the Hajj Shalal Data'at, spell of religion of foreigners who disgrace, disrespect, and disregard your own way as Africans. They don't respect us. No one respects us. So why are we respecting them? Shouldn't you respect people who respect you? Mukasa go out their way, Caucasians go out their way to make fools of us in their media. It's a hot mess, the way they show us in the media. And we supposed to respect them in their way? That's silliness. It's just silliness, guys. That's all we're saying. Truth is truth. It's not about hate. It's about love right here. It's about facts. And people don't want to deal with the facts. Our people don't want to hear it, though. It's sad. And that's what the spell is. You don't want to hear the truth. That's the challenge. They run with, the master teacher says, only fools duck when the truth is thrown at them. And you know why they don't want to deal with the reality of the Mukaso of white people? Because that means they got to be responsible. You can't keep going to the white man for food. You can't go for jobs. You can't go for him to build your house. You can't go to Home Depot to buy lumber. You have to give up all of the things he's doing for you and do for yourself. But guess what? The slave mind don't want to do for self. It's comfortable serving their system. So just be honest. So they rather attack organizations like us. They rather attack the master teacher and attack what we teach because they don't want to be responsible. And that's all we teach. I don't care how wrong they think we are. At least we're talking about liberation to do for ourselves. Let me mess up on my own. Then you don't have to be worried about scenarios like George Floyd and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, all our leaders that they kill or in prison. Let us mess up on our own. But you attack us. They attack us, guys. They attack us because they say, oh, he did this, he do that. And they just ignore all the things that white people do all the time. All they do is kill. Name one president that's not a killer. Aren't all of the presidents killers? Aren't the people supporting their presidents? How many millions and millions of so-called Americans vote for these killers? Aren't you complicit if you keep, supporting people who kill for a living? That's what it means to be a president. They asked that about Barack Obama when he was running. Look that up, right? They asked it. They say, because one of his advisors said, "You sure you want to take this job? You got to kill people." And he said, I get it. I understand. They said Barack Obama killed more people with them damn drones than George Bush did. These are killers, y'all. They just killed Biden. They just killed some guy, whatever they claim. He's Al-Qaeda, whatever. First of all, they're killing people without any due process. They're just murdering them. And Americans aren't they complicit? Guys, we don't have no history of this. We don't have no history of going out murdering people all over the world. but yet they want to attack us and get on us. This is why we say we are the solution. We're the salvation. This is the salvation to get away from corrupt cultures. That's all we're saying. We have the right to live our way. Doesn't it say that in the what's that? The UN Charter in 1945 that indigenous people have the right to choose their own self-destiny, self-determination. We have a right to do that. And we have a right to mess up. Same way everyone else mess up in their nation. We have a right to make mistakes, and we have a right to fix ourselves. Nevertheless, paragraph 137, nevertheless, you who do not accept Wu-Sabat will raise those who will seek to finally know, nevertheless, you who do accept Wu-Sabat will raise those who seek to finally know Pa-Sawab, the truth of who they are, not what they became by the Mu'adamu, the Adamites and the Edomites. Following this disclosure, some of you Ansar Allah harden your Ibaba hearts which eventually became as hard as Nawat stone, or more, and stayed behind on a Mijsar, the bridge. Yet even from some stones a river can burst forth, as you Rahuk know, so repent. Therefore, have compassion on your Bahu souls, and in doing so, you will find mercy and be gathered with the Muisar, the family, with the Nahe in, which is upon the Laban, the white Tapau world now. You as Nagarnadu, Afafra'e Ka'u Africans prefer to allow a red Arab of Arabia from 1400 years ago tell you how to live your life? Or Laban Mudwalu, white men of Jerusalem, tell you how to live your lives as mental Mu'ababu slaves to the religions of Islam and Christianity? Akai'at beliefs of others, Salahu races, Hazabat cultures of their own prophets, apostles, angels, even God in their own Shabbat image, and like them, unlike you, you allow them to remove all you were for thousands of Shemonat years, 6,000 years, or 2,000 years, or 1,400 years, to become more Babel, slaves of their religions, laws, as well as their civil laws and judicial laws. You obey them as Munabu, canines obeyed its masters. What to eat, when to wake, when to sleep, who to Nashui marry, what age to Nashui marry, ignore natural nature or hormones, and when and at what age your Khata'at bodies are prepared by Fatal, natural nature, to give birth. He tells you at age 18 or 21, his own choice for you not found in their own Bible. He seeks to rule birth, where you can or cannot travel the world without his approval, called a passport or a visa. How long will you stay? Why are you going? They ask you. How much minkat, money, will you take? Where there you will stay, or where you will stay? How and by what will you travel? And these are all the questions they ask you at immigration when you're traveling. You know, what do you have in your personal kayash, your bag? What can you say publicly? And you think you're harar, free. You hear freedom of speech, yet only if you say agrees, if you say things that agrees with his historical lies or religions, chazabat lies or political lies, or you become a cult and they attack you. You know, if we don't go along with their culture, we get attacked. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Is that freedom of speech, really? You must be educated by them, and what they want you to learn, or you failed in madrasa at school and can't get a job, right? So if you don't tote the line, as everyone knows, you can't get a job that earn a living, or you gotta be that whole minimum wage if you can't get their education, and that's a way of saying if you can't be brainwashed by them, then they're gonna make sure you have minimum everything. Says you must believe in their Christian detached religion, the white image of their Son of God, Jesus, their Christ, or your cult, and must be stopped. It's the same with Islamism and Muhammad's image. To get a job, you must be approved by them. They put you in a uniform and you kill for them to protect their white man-made system. This is what our people do. It's sad, but it's true. You work for them as he takes part of your payment as tax that he uses to provide jobs for his own race as heads of all departments in the workplaces. You're a mental murbab, slave, and physical khadam, servant to their mumban, white, and muhmar, red people. Under their religions, they teach you as mukrad, as a child, with stories they made up or copied and changed to support their mind control, to create phobias and fears and add beliefs in them so that you offer your very soul. This is your choice over who you really are as the first people on Matha, earth. A hakak, fact, now known that all others come from you who originated in South Africa millions, not 6,000 years ago, as the Muadamu, the last hybrid race. You are of the Musnanu, the Sands people of South Africa, who traveled up the Nile, and crossed all of Afafra'e Ka'a, then the world. This is an actual fact now confirmed. These are the people of Lawan, color, the human, before the colorless people of the Leben Salau, the white race of 6,000 years ago. The originals were Fatarism, animism, the Nagad Na'u, Afafra'e Ka'au, Africans, Mukmamu, blacks, or the black race. Our culture was animism, being in tune with nature, right? Same thing for Fatarism, the Aboriginals of Australia. They practice animism themselves. Same thing with the Dravado, the Dravidians or Indians, right? They practice animism. Their versions of it, of course, as well as the Nagad Nadu, the Mongoloids, the Asians, Mongolia, Asia, the yellows, the yellow race. They also have their version of animism. And the very last, only 6,000 years old, who were Wu-Sabat, the Christians, or the Kakas Na'u, the Caucasoids of Muiraq, Europe, the Mulbanu, the whites, the white race, Wu-Shalam, the Mohammedanism, the Arab Na'u, the Arabs, Arabia, the red race, right? Those are the Adamite traditions that they follow, based on faith, not facts of nature. You will continue to surrender your will completely and to obey their self-made laws and commandments freely as mental and physical murbadu slaves, and be used as pets to protect their nadam, their system, their regulations, their way of filthy living, and chazabat lies. Or you will return to your own, the genuine you, for your ultimate perfection as a creature of Fatar al-Fatar, natural nature. Our own supreme way, Wu-Sabat, as Musba'u, Sabians, with Ashuk, divine love, unconditional love of self and kind. How then dare some of you, black people, oppose your own self as Afafra'e Ka'u, Africans, and transgress your own way of living, which existed long before the Kakas Na'u were made? You have for over 6,000 years, or 2,000 years, or 1,400 years, because this is how long their religious cultures were, indeed misrepresented your DNA, Nasabat, your genes, and Muslau, your race. You have become slaves of a mental death, a Mukhnanu, or Mukhenu, divine people who no longer know who the true and living God deities are. The Mufaku, the supreme beings, deities in the flesh. This is what we are, guys. Will you reject your own Muklas, your savior? Will you transgress your own fatal natural nature in order to avenge yourselves for falling under his Hajj Shalil, the Ta'at, his spells of religions and governmental spells? You will have indeed misrepresented your own DNA, Muslafu, ancestors, by declaring others' oaths than to your own, and have sanctioned the abuse of your own race. Neither sanction or accept or agree with the two slave masters, the Kakas Na'u and the Arab Na'u of us, Afaf Re'e Ka'a. He's saying, guys, we shouldn't be choosing other races and their cultures over us and our own. I repeat, everyone has issues because they keep attacking us about, you guys are following Dr. York and he's this and he's that. What leadership isn't this or that? What is this? Our people they're looking for this perfect whatever. We're trying to build ourselves as a free and sovereign people to do for self and kind. This is what we stand on. This is what the master teachers always stood on. This is what we always taught to do for self and kind. But our people, unfortunately, have allowed themselves to be mentally enslaved under these foreign cultures. I say this every single week, and I'm going to continue to say it every single week until we all are saying it every single week and then every single day, until our people realize we must do for self and kind and give the Mukasu back everything. We don't need them. We have everything we need if we just work with ourselves, love ourselves. That's why love is key. Once we love ourselves, we'll work with ourselves. We have everything we need all over the world. Nagado people all over the world. We have every possible resource you could think of. We don't need anyone. That's right. He's a master teacher. Because they're looking for this perfect leader. It's this silliness. They don't do that with the Mukasu. And it's like, what? Because you don't like the leadership? You don't want to have your own nation, though? What kind of silliness is that? All these people who slander and do what they do, who they serving? All of them are serving the Mukasu, who are admitted killers. They love talking about who they kill. Like I said, go look at the news. They talking about how they killed this guy, this Al-Qaeda guy, whatever. They're happy about it, man. We murdered him. They're killers. This is who they are. Paragraph 183. They are the forbidden, the curse and disease Makabat Makha, of the Makabat Maha, the planet Earth. The Mukhzabu, the liars, Muktalu, killers, Mukhsabu, rapists, Musaraku, thieves, from the other four races. Guys, you're gonna forget all of our mothers, grandmothers, daughters, nieces that they raped over the years. We just forget that. They never pay for their crimes they committed against us. You know that. They're fugitives from justice, the Mukasu, What do they teach? Vengeance says mine, says the Lord. It's not about, we don't have to take vengeance because natural nature has taken vengeance on them. That's why we teach. All we got to do is get out their way. But we don't want to do that. It's crazy. But I understand. I mean, it's a spell. We call it the spell of ignorance. Your salvation is overstanding your true way of doing things, your true way of life. This is what this discussion is all about. That's your bridge to salvation, by living your culture. You know, culture is based on economics, you know. This is one of the reasons why the Mukasa don't want to let you leave. As much as they claim they don't like black people, why don't they let us leave? They could have been let Marcus Garvey take us. Why did they stop it? Since they don't like us so much, they want to blame us for all their problems. We're criminals. We're this. You know what I'm saying? This is what they say about us. They could have been let us leave. Why they keep us? I'll tell you why they kept us. So that we could maintain permanent customers. To keep feeding and supporting their system. That's why. To make them rich and powerful. That's why they didn't want to get rid of us. We're customers. Perpetual customers. Why you think that's their whole immigration policy is based on? To bring more customers into their system. It's all they care about. Making money. Controlling the world's resources. How long we're going to allow ourselves to be taken advantage of like that? And you know why? It's going to continue until you overstand Ashak, divine love. But we can't do that until we deal with the adverse negative spirit forces within us. We don't tolerate each other. We get upset with each other quick. We turn on each other quick. We accuse each other quick. We don't have no problem abusing one another. And you know why we do that? It all comes from self-hate. It all comes from hurt and pain. This is what slavery did to us. The degradation that we saw ourselves in. White people constantly make fun of us in their medias. They made those cartoons with the big lips and the big butts, and they made us look stupid and said we had no history and we had no culture and we come from nothing. And so this created an identity crisis among black people, and so we take it out on each other. And this is because of lower forces, adverse spirit forces is moving through us. And we're not going to overcome those things until we acknowledge really what's going on inside. How are you going to love that which is outside till you love that which is inside? And you can't love the inside until you understand what was done to us, the adverse natures that they put in us. Look at all the things we love. You know, we love porn today. We love drugs today. We love alcohol today. All the things that came with their culture, which is poison. We love fast food. We love buying unrealistic, expensive stuff. We don't know how to harness our wealth to build businesses. We do all kinds of irrational things. Why? Because our minds are messed up. Simple. That's right, Doom. We are the biggest investors in our own impression. Black people in the United States, they claim we're making like what? Close to $2 trillion now, or $1.5 trillion or something ridiculousness. And every penny we make, we give it right back to them. Every penny we make, we give it right back to them. Every penny we make, we give it right back to them. So obviously that's a spell. Of supreme ignorance. So salvation is waking up from the spell and loving yourself and your kind. That's the salvation we're talking about here. But you got to give up the foreign cultures. The only way to conquer the self-hate is through the rituals. The only way to conquer the self-hate is through the rituals, because you were dealing with spirit forces. We're dealing with spirit entities. And when you raise your vibration, as you raise your vibration up, those lower forces can't exist in your body. That's how you purge them out of you, by doing the rituals, and you'll be raising your vibration. As you raise your vibration up, those lower forces can't stay in your body. Remember, we're non-ether beings. We're non-ether beings. The lower forces can't exist in the heat of the sun. The power of the sun. We have an internal sun within our solar plex, and you have to learn to ignite your solar plex through the rituals, through the chanting, through the prayers, right? Through the meditation, the concentration exercises. This is how you ignite your solar plex. You ignite it. It's like a burning fire inside the body. You'll feel your body heat up. You'll feel your energies heat up. You'll feel the vibrations speed up, and those lower forces have to flee. have to flee. You have to overcome negative thoughts in the mind. You got to overcome negative thoughts in the mind. You got to overcome the distrust. You got to realize that all of us have been poisoned. We've been sick with these lower forces. And so when you're looking at each other, when you're dealing with your people, you got to have in your mind, okay, they have those forces in them. They got those forces in them. And we have to figure out intelligent ways to help our people get those forces out of us. We probably need a rehabilitation center. We really do. We should invest in that, some type of rehabilitation center that we all need to go through. Because remember, guys, we had no rehabilitation after slavery. And all the abuse that we went through was in our genes, and it just passed on from generation to generation. These bad genes with the bad culture and just made us worse. That's why we have no problem in unity. If you have a concert starring Jay-Z or Beyonce, you see thousands of us in the stadiums. Or at a basketball game or a high school football game, you see us pack those stadiums. Why? Why it's so easy for us to come together for fun and folly, but when it comes to righteousness, you can't get nobody to come together. That's a spell. That's a spell. We're addicted to fun and folly, but we're not addicted to seriousness. I'm just going to read a little bit more. We're just about done here. There's no way I can read the entirety of this book. I wanted to introduce you guys to this particular book that deals with the process of our salvation. You are the answer to your own salvation. You are the answer to your own salvation. That's what the message is here. The way to salvation is you. Look in the mirror, give up the foreign cultures. This is the way to your salvation, giving up the foreign cultures. Remember, we give life to this beast. We give life to this system. We give life because we stay perpetual customers. We keep paying money for their cars. We keep paying money for their gas. We keep paying them money for their housing. We keep paying money for their clothes. I keep saying this all the time. The earth is free. The earth is free. The earth is free. So why are you paying to live on a free earth? Why are you paying to live on a free earth? The earth is free. The earth is free. The earth is free. There's no reason to be paying to live on a free earth. The key is relationships. The key is relationships. Ubuntu. The key is relationships. I did a lecture on that. Relationships. It's the key to our salvation. Relationships. The money is in relationships. What you're doing is using money to create your relationships. Instead of working together to cook food, right? We work together to cook food. What do? You go to Red Lobster to cook your food. You go to Chuck E. Cheese to entertain your children. You're paying for relationships. Why? Why are we paying for relationships? Or if we just relate to one another and work with one another, then we would have everything we need. Of course, we're talking about Africans, Black people worldwide. We have to do this as a body, as a race, as a body of people. We can't do it individually. Individually, you will fail as individuals. You can only succeed as a body, as a collective whole. So we have to wake our people up from the spell of self-hate, from these horrible cultures that we have adapted to. I repeat, all this talk about the master teacher, anyone who doesn't like the master teacher, is not relevant. What does that got to do with your own nation? What does that got to do with your own salvation? Everyone who thinks like that, all of them support this wicked system and just ignore the criminal behavior of the people who's running the system. Don't you know they're all criminals? They put us in jail for stuff that they walk around freely doing. Didn't they just expose that guy Epstein, that white boy they killed because he was doing sex trafficking for the elite, for your leadership? And they killed him mysteriously. He dies because they don't want to expose that they're the real pedophiles and sex deviants. You see how people trying to leave this system? but they don't want to join a nation because they accuse us. This is the craziness. We're here to save our people from this silliness. We have our own problems. We solve our own problems. We have solutions. We live by our solutions. Stop being tricked by misinformation. The master teacher is innocent. The master teacher is just that, a master teacher. Look at this information I've been going over week after week after week. All of the lectures and discussions we have. The information is so profound coming from one source. I surely don't have the knowledge to put books like this together, and I don't know anyone that does. The level of information, the things that we're teaching, we resurrected a dead culture. Our people don't know the culture of Wu-Sabat anymore. They've lost the concept of what it means to be in tune with natural nature. They've lost that knowledge, what we call origination information, nature knowledge. We've lost that information. And we surrendered it to religions. All you got to do is look at the religions in Africa. Everyone gave up their traditional cultures. And all of them have taken on Abrahamic religions, foreign cultures. What is that? I think it's like 90 or 80% of the continent have taken this, whether it's Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. 80%. And I'm sure it's like 95% here in the States. Paragraph 184. In actual fact, their entire Kasasat stories of their Bible and Quran are only delusions they have fabricated from the Sumerian stone tablets as well as other Wu-Sabat cultures. Wu-Handa, which is Hinduism, and Zoroastrianism. This is where they got their religions from, you know. They plagiarized from these cultures. Remember, in the end, and as of the year 2000 AD, that this is their end of Wakut time. These talebearers will never win, as no one wins the Sabak race in Salawism, racism. They were commanded at their very beginning, 6,000 years ago, refer to Genesis chapter 4 and 9, and Exodus 21, Leviticus 24. They were ordered not to kill human beings by one side of the family of Musiad Hayin Metha, extraterrestrials who made them, right? Thou should not kill. That's all they do is kill. That's all they do is kill, because what is the white the Native Americans, the white men speak with a forked tongue. They say one thing and do the other. And look, and what did Jesus say? And he says, yet as you read in John chapter 8, verse 44, they did not obey, and to this day they fight and kill each other the world over. Refer to John 8:44. This is Jesus speaking to them. It says, ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Jesus called them devils. So don't get on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he was calling a white man the devil, and don't get on us when we call him the devil. That's not about racism. That's about actual facts of what their doctrine teaches. They put this out. And what is the devil? Someone who causes chaos and mayhem. Isn't that what they've done around the world? No one dropped nuclear bombs on anyone. They did. Who's polluting the earth? They are. Who's poisoning the food supply? They do. Who purposely miseducate the people? They do. We can go on for days what they've done to the earth, their culture, their wicked culture, the drug addiction, the sex addiction. the greed, the massive greed, the hoarding of resources. We can go on and on. It's not my belief. This is actual facts. The truth ain't racism. The truth is truth. And it has to be told. Can they be saved? Yeah, if they change their ways. Will they change their ways? Not nowadays. We've tried. We tried. Martin Luther King, he tried the peaceful way. What did he get? So we say, listen, they have their way of doing things. And guess what? We have our way. Our salvation is doing things our way. That's all we're saying. Our salvation is doing things our way. That's it. No harm, no foul. Our message is to our people to wake up. We can only do this together. We will only survive together as a race. And so it becomes our obligation to educate our people. We must wake up to our own salvation. That's right. GMO. GMO. With that being said, we're gonna close out. If there's no more questions, we do our prayers at 9 o'clock. Prayers for those who do not know, we do our prayers 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and 9 p.m. It's our chant systems, our prayer systems, when we're calling out to our ancestors to make contact with our ancestors who exist on the higher dimensions. We do our Namaste prayers in our Lahaj, our language, Sabat. Like that's what I said, it's the language of tones, right? About tones. Once you develop your tones, guys, you develop your ability to perceive your ancestors who exist on those higher realms. That's why the rituals are key. You'll never achieve the goal without doing these rituals. The rituals are key. And I love you all, guys. And I thank you all for your support, man. I really do. It helps, spread the word. I can't stress that enough. Spread the word. Our people need this salvation information. This is the only way. We got to stop turning on each other. We have to stop seeing each other as bad in this. Unfortunately, we've become this. We've done some really not cool things here in the States and abroad in the continent. We've hurt each other. We harm each other, but we have to heal. Ubuntu. Look that up. The South Africans are the ones who pushed that Ubuntu. We have to heal. This is something they did with the conflict in Rwanda. They had a process of healing, all of that fighting, that war, that bloodshed that was going on in Rwanda, right? In the 90s. And they had a system to heal themselves. Ubuntu. Look it up. We have to heal ourselves, family. Because we've been poisoned. And once we heal ourselves and start loving ourselves, we'll start working together. And then we can get things done. We got to get things done. But we can't get anything done effectively until we start loving each other. Ubuntu. Okay, we're going to do Namas Moisar. So again, for those who are ready, follow me in Sabaic. Or I have the English translation here. And we'll get started. Bade Kalau Namasat Wufak or Aman Kasemun Shalal Port. Pa Takyut. Anuki Jawef Pa Ashuk Impa Port. Wu Kalet Ashuk Kawun Jawefnia. Anuki Kasemun Impa Port. Wu Pa Port Kawun Kasemun Imnia. Anuki Wahu Amapa Port. Wu Pa Port Kawun Wahu Amahnia. Naku Kador Naju Aman Kasemun Impa Port. Wu Khabu Aman Muskasun, Nakuk Kador Kawan Kalep Afaf Nakuk Diyar Jawep Pa Port, Ama wase ama de yani kuunda ke baku jwe pa poot anuki yabe bi nafasni pa poot kawun anuki pa poot kador nakuk kador pa poot amul nakuk amul lahahum manahnun lahahum manahnun ahumata karehum ahumata karekum ahumata karenun ahumata jwefnia ahumata nia wu anuki hum yaye ashuk re'e asmua jayenun yaye nataru afuknun anunata mukra ukum yaye nataru afuknun afuknun yaye nataru nun anun atun atun amun namazo wahu yaye mufaku yaye hu yaye nataru yaye soye yaye nataru yaye hika yaye nataru ankum atapa mufaku yaye hu yaye nataru ankum atapa mufaku wu anu ata mukra ukum wu ankum ata muisanun yaye hu yaye nataru aro muklasnum atum re'e yaye hu yaye nataru namazo atu aro en hu yaye mukdamu afudnun ankum mane yakela duda muslafu nun wu muso nun mane yake sawura paba mane yake kawuna kau mane yake ata akhak mane yake kawuna basha wu damam yaye nataru mufta'un nun aro mufta'nun anhu kawuna maza mane pa nataru aro anhu anhu kawuna baba yananan aro anhu anhu kawuna tum re'e aro anhu kawun haro namazo talo yaye nataru muslafu nun afut nun mane pa muchwa'u afut nun mane gahaan yaye nataru afut nun mane saya khayara afut nun afutniya yaye nataru nun namazo rabu pa tahmui nakuk talub tahmui pi pa nataru mane pela en lawi tenenu kale ranam atni at the lahe pa nataru wu kale namazo atni lahe kiyat iyatun laye pa nataru pa sawa wu pa tura pane masfa kawun pa sawa wu pa tura si kawuna nazula lahe enkum mane maspa wu masa ame hadayan wu dama'un mane muslafukum wu nataru ajula yena fasukum afuk shinekun kum pa sawa wu pa tura pa hadayan wu pa dama anun tawa ankum lahe panen dama wu shafe anun tawa ankum lahe tem na suinun anun tawa ankum lahe ashakuma ankum ata muslafunun anun ata mukra'ukum anum talub nasakuma anum talub nasakuma ansor nun kahen nataru ansor nun muslafunun anun ata muspatu anun atun amun yaye nataru nun yaye muftau yaye nataru yaye atum re yaye natar yaye nun yaye nun tat yaye natar tat yaye ha yaye natar yaye hatat yaye natar tat yaye kak yaye natar yaye kaktat ya ye nathar tat, ya ye amun, ya ye nathar, ya ye amun tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye atun, ya ye nathar, ya ye shishash, ya ye nathar, ya ye tafafna tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye sabab, ya ye nathar, ya ye natat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye aras tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye asar, ya ye nathar, ya ye nababta hatat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye satach, ya ye nathar, ya ye hara, ya ye nathar, ya ye hatwi, ya ye nathar, ya ye anaktat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye ahaharatwi, ya ye nathar, ya ye nafartun, ya ye nathar, ya ye mantu, ya ye nathar, ya ye bapti, ya ye nathar, ya ye sachem tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye hataharatat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye baibis, ya ye nathar, ya ye patata, ya ye nathar, ya ye basastat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye imhatat, ya ye nathar, ya yehu, ya ye nathar, ya ye matat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye mahart, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye chafaf re'e, ya ye nathar, ya ye miskinat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye re'e tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye chintamin to you, ya ye nathar, ya ye hika, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye ma'at, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye honanen tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye shai, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye sashat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye maftat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye sabak, ya ye nathar, ya ye anab, ya ye nathar, ya ye chanum, ya ye nathar, ya ye chanas, ya ye nathar, ya ye patata nun, ya ye nathar, ya ye suye, ya ye nathar, ya ye haktat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye amas, ya ye nathar, ya ye saratwi, ya ye nathar, ya ye atum re, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye dahutwi, ya ye nathar, ya ye patata warat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye sakar tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye ha, ya ye nathar, ya ye neheb ka, ya ye nathar, ya ye sakar, ya ye nathar, ya ye ba'a, ya ye nathar, ya ye akar, ya ye nathar, ya ye imharatat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye wapawatat, ya ye nathar, ya ye sakhahatat tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye meritat sakar tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye suye tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye garatat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye asat inu, ya ye nathar, ya ye bahatat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye chadeb tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye manaktat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye chamem, ya ye nathar, ya ye mahatwi, ya ye nathar, ya ye kabefsin and afaf, ya ye nathar, ya ye damatafaf, ya ye nathar, ya ye meritat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye nasat, ya ye nathar, ya ye imdadat tat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye nakakbatat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye sakhatat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye anaktat, ya ye nathar tat, ya ye dadad, ya ye nathar, ya ye tum, ya ye nathar, ya ye wahu, ya ye nathar, ya ye yasas, ya ye nathar, ya ye anach, ya ye nathar, ya ye afnuit, ya ye nathar, ya ye satat, ya ye nathar tat, Ya ye sakatwi. Ya ye nathar. Ya ye emat. Ya ye nathar. Ya ye nana. Ya ye nathar. Ya ye emnuit. Ya ne nathar. Ya ye em sataktwi. Ya ye nathar. Ya ye mukdaltat. Ya ye nathar tat. Ya ye rahashafaf. Ya ye nathar. Ya ye maratwi. Ya ye nathar. Ya ye amun hore. Ya ye nathar. Yehu Anu Ata Kalad Jawaf Paot Nun Re'e Tun Re'e Tun Re'e Mun Re'e Amun. 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 Agenda 4. Agenda 4. Okay. The prayers are extremely important. Prayers and the chants. This is how you increase your vibration. This is how you develop yourself spiritually. By being consistent in doing the rituals. After you do the prayers, the chants, you're supposed to go into a meditated state. Because we're communicating with our ancestors, we're communicating with the Nathar, and the purpose of the meditation is to now listen or wait for their response. Because by doing these prayers and these chants, they're now paying attention. You're calling out to them, and we're connecting to them by birth and blood, by genetics, by energy. Our own energies is connected to them. So they're now watching. And if you learn to go into a meditative state, you can hear their response. And once you learn to open your third eye, you can actually see and talk to them. This is the goal of all students of Wu-Sabat. This is salvation information. With that being said, I bless you all. I cherish you all. And we will win, family. We will accomplish our goals. The master teacher will be free. And we will continue with this glorious mission of liberation of our people.